In the late 1980s, the Japanese car industry was brimming with ambition and quiet confidence. Honda had proven it could challenge Europe with its precision engines. Nissan was pushing the limits of turbocharged performance. And Toyota, long known for bulletproof reliability, was determined to demonstrate it could do far more than build dependable family sedans. Deep within Toyota City, engineers in crisp white coats and oil-stained coveralls were preparing something unusual. They were not simply designing a new engine. They were engineering a statement of intent, an answer to a question few people had even asked. Could Toyota create a straight-six power plant so refined it would rival the best luxury? Marquez, while so strong it would survive. Stresses no one could yet imagine? The story begins with the 1JZ, the smaller 2.5-liter inline-six that debuted in 1989. Toyota had wanted a smooth, high-revving engine for its luxury sedans and sporty coupes. The 1JZ proved that an inline-six could combine creamy refinement with stout reliability. But in the boardrooms and engineering bays, the appetite for more displacement was already there. The engineers wanted 3 liters, more torque, more headroom for forced induction. They wanted to create an engine that would not merely meet the expectations of the early 90s, but stand decades ahead of them. When the 2JZ project was approved, it carried a simple but radical philosophy: over-engineer everything. Make the block stronger than it needs to be, the crankshaft tougher than anyone thinks necessary, and the oiling system capable of surviving the kind of abuse that would make other engines cry for mercy. They started with a cast iron block, a decision some thought old-fashioned in an era chasing lightweight aluminum. But it was exactly the right choice for ultimate strength. They used thick cylinder walls to resist distortion under immense pressure. They specified a forged, fully counterweighted crankshaft, strong connecting rods and pistons designed for both smoothness and resilience. The dual overhead cam aluminum head was designed for efficient breathing and for durability at high RPM. Even the oil, pump and coolant passages were laid out with an eye toward racing levels of stress. On paper, the design looked conservative. In reality, it was a masterpiece of quiet over-engineering. When the 2JZ finally arrived in the early 1990s, Toyota offered it in both naturally aspirated and twin-turbo forms. The 2JZ GE was a refined, smooth performer in sedans like the Aristo and the Lexus GS, delivering effortless torque and a whispering idle. But the engineers had hidden a far wilder animal inside the twin-turbocharged. Two sequential turbos gave the engine the dual personality. Toyota sought gentle torque at low RPM and a savage surge of power at high revs, officially rated around 280 horsepower in Japan, thanks to the industry's gentleman's agreement to limit output. It quietly produced more in reality. For export markets, the rating climbed slightly higher, but everyone who drove it knew the published numbers were a polite fiction. This first hour of the tale belongs to those quiet, careful Japanese engineers who built an engine for luxury sedans but gave the world something far more important: the unbreakable heart of a future legend. As the 1990s unfolded, Toyota's engineering gamble found its perfect home. The 4th-generation Supra, sleek, muscular, and unmistakably modern, the MK4 Supra was the ideal canvas for the 2JZ GTE's raw potential. From the first press drives, it was obvious that the car was more than just a handsome grand tourer. Its chassis balance, rigid structure, and sophisticated suspension made it a capable high-speed machine. But the real revelation came under the hood. The twin-turbo 2JZ delivered a tidal wave of power with uncanny smoothness. It spooled eagerly, surged relentlessly, and sounded like nothing else on the road. Tuners were quick to notice the gifts Toyota had hidden inside. While other engines needed forged internals and painstaking reinforcement before serious boost could be applied, the 2JZ was already built like a racing motor. Mechanics discovered that with only mild upgrades, larger turbos, bigger injectors, careful tuning, the engine would comfortably handle 500 horsepower, then 6, then 800 without touching the bottom end. Stories of Supras running well over 1,000 horsepower on stock internals began to spread through magazines, and late-night street scenes. At drag strips from Florida to California, Two MK4 Supras were humiliating purpose-built V8 muscle cars, their screaming turbos and unrelenting acceleration turning heads and rewriting the rules of import racing. In Japan, the legend grew in parallel. The booming drift scene demanded engines that could withstand endless abuse at the limiter, and the 2JZ became a hero there too. Its broad, flat torque, curve, and cast-iron resilience meant drivers could hurl their cars sideways at impossible angles, lap after lap, without fear of catastrophic failure. Tuners like HKS and Trust developed ever wilder kits, giant single-turbo conversions, high-flow fuel systems, racing intercoolers. Each new record at the Strip or on the Wangan Highway fed the myth. The Supra and its indestructible engine became the poster child for the Japanese performance movement, a symbol of what careful engineering and fearless tuning could achieve. The cultural impact reached across oceans. Magazines dedicated entire issues to the Supramania sweeping car culture. Car meets in Los Angeles and Miami buzzed with talk of boost levels and quarter-mile times. And when Hollywood released the first of the Fast and Furious films, the bright orange Supra with its roaring 2JZ became an instant icon. The film's climactic drag race against a classic, Dodge Charger, cemented the engine's reputation worldwide. For countless young enthusiasts, that sound, deep at idle, then rising to a banshee, wail as the turbo spooled, was the call to a new kind of automotive passion. By the end of the 90s, the 2JZ was no longer just an engine. It was a movement. It had awakened something in street racers and professional tuners alike. The idea that Japanese engineering could not only match but surpass the traditional kings of performance. Supra owners weren't just buying a sports car. They were buying into an emerging legend. While the Supra dominated headlines, the 2JZ's influence spread far beyond Toyota's own showrooms. Engine importers began shipping used motors around the world. Builders in Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and the United States discovered that this humble Japanese straight six could be swapped into almost anything. Old BMWs, pickup trucks, even boats received 2JZ heart transplants. Wherever it went, it carried the same message. Enormous, reliable power, ready to be unleashed. Racers chasing records pushed the boundaries. Quarter-mile times dropped into the 8-second range, then the 7s, on motors that still used factory crankshafts and blocks. Some tuners achieved over 2,000 horsepower with reinforced internals and cutting-edge engine management systems. Yet the basic architecture remained recognizable. The same iron block, the same strong webbing around the main caps, the same robust oil passages designed decades earlier. Drag racers praised the engine's ability to hold together under brutal launches and sustained boost. Drifters loved its broad torque band and the way it shrugged off abuse. Even in endurance racing, where reliability is king, the 2JZ earned respect. Part of the magic lay in its character. At idle, the engine produced a deep, velvety growl. Under load, the twin turbos sang, a rising mechanical symphony that culminated in the distinctive hiss of the wastegate. For enthusiasts, that sound was addictive. It spoke of mechanical confidence, of potential barely contained. To hear a well-tuned 2JZ at full song was to experience the joy of engineering meeting passion. Meanwhile, Toyota itself had moved on. Emissions regulations tightened. Markets shifted toward efficiency and hybrid technology, and the Supra eventually disappeared from showrooms. Yet the legend refused to die. The absence of a new factory hero only amplified the allure of the old one. Prices for used Supras climbed. Tuners continued to innovate, creating new turbo kits, modern fuel injection systems, and advanced electronic controls. The 2JZ became both a classic and a platform for cutting-edge experimentation, a paradox that delighted those who loved it. Communities formed around this shared obsession. Internet forums buzzed with dyno charts and tuning tips. Late-night garage sessions became rites of passage. Owners swapped stories of broken drivetrains, victorious races, and the sheer thrill of harnessing 1,000 horsepower. The 2JZ was more than a machine. It was the heartbeat of a culture that valued ingenuity, perseverance, and the raw thrill of speed. By the early 2000s, the engine had transcended its original purpose. It had become a global symbol of what happens when over-engineering meets human creativity. It wasn't just Toyota's achievement anymore, it was the world's. Decades after its debut, the Toyota 2JZ remains a benchmark. by which other performance engines are measured. Modern builders, armed with technology the original engineers could scarcely imagine, continue to explore its limits. High-efficiency turbochargers, sophisticated engine management, and advanced materials have pushed output to astonishing levels. Street cars with everyday drivability now produce over 1,000 horsepower with ease. Professional drag racers extract more than 2,000. Yet the core of the engine, its iron block, forged crankshaft, and brilliant design remains essentially unchanged. The engine's influence can be seen in the modern renaissance of the Supra itself. When Toyota revived the nameplate in collaboration with BMW, enthusiasts inevitably compared every detail to the original 2JZ. Even as the new car earned praise, purists celebrated the older engine as a symbol of an era when durability and limitless tuning potential were the ultimate goals. The fact that people still measure new performance cars against an engine designed more than 30 years ago is perhaps the greatest compliment of all. But the 2JZ's true legacy lies not only in records or dyno numbers. It lives in the friendships formed in dimly lit garages, in the countless weekends spent chasing the perfect tune, in the quiet satisfaction of a perfectly executed build. It is in the spark of inspiration felt by a young enthusiast hearing that distinctive turbo whistle for the first time. It is in the way it connects generations, veteran tuners passing hard-won knowledge to newcomers eager to join the tradition. This engine began life as a carefully built luxury power plant and became the heartbeat of a global movement. It has powered cars that shattered records, inspired movies that captured the imagination of millions, and fostered communities united by a shared passion for speed and mechanical artistry. In the culture of street racing, the 2JZ is not merely respected, it is revered. It stands as proof that when engineers build with patience, precision, and a willingness to exceed every expectation, they sometimes create more than just machinery. They create immortality. The Toyota 2JZ is that kind of immortality. From the moment its first prototype fired to life, through decades of midnight races and dyno runs, to the present day where its roar still sends shivers through car lovers everywhere. It has been the unchallenged king of street racing. Its story is not just about horsepower or quarter-mile times. It is about the human drive to create something enduring, to turn metal and fuel into legend. And as long as there are dreamers who stay up late chasing speed, the echo of the 2JZ will continue to roll through the night, an eternal anthem to the power of engineering and the passion of those who refuse to let legends die.